Hello there, and then welcome to a brand new video. This is Hack Beyond Numbers, where we learn maths the easy way. Now in this video we are on linear inequalities, and by the end of this video you should be able to understand the concept of inequalities in mathematics. You should know the different inequality symbols and then their meanings as well, and then you should finally be able to represent them on a number line. So without much I say or do, let's quickly go into it. Okay, so let's start by knowing what an inequality is. So we say an inequality, it compares two values. It compares two values, showing if one is less than or equal to, less than, greater than or equal to, or greater than the other. There are four symbols here. So we are talking of the less than or equal to, greater than, and then greater than or equal to the other. If you want to compare two values, it is inequality you use to do that. So let's look at these symbols and then their meaning. So under inequality symbols, the first one we'll be looking at is this symbol over here. And this here is called the greater than. Greater than. We use it to show that one number or one value is greater than the other. Just the meaning, the literal English meaning. So by so doing, we mean if you have 7 and then you are comparing it to 3, 7 is definitely bigger than 3. You see, so we use this symbol, the greater than, to tell that 7 is greater than 3. The next one we'll look at is the less than. And this is how the less than symbol looks like. So the less than is also used to show that what two values are what one is less than the other. So you have 3 and then 7. So just as 3 is smaller than 7, you can use this symbol here to show that what 3 is less than 7. Then the two controversial ones, that is the greater than or equal to and then less than or equal to. So let's look at the greater than or equal to. Now, if you take a look at this symbol here, you see it has two parts. It has the greater than symbol, and it has this here, the equal to symbol. So we have this as equal to. We have just picked one of them, you see. So this one is used to show that a number. So this symbol here, it's used to show that a number can be a range of values. And by a range of values here, we mean if I pick x and I say x is greater than or equal to 4, you have to list out the elements that satisfy this. You would have to start from 4. You see, you would have to start from 4. Why? Because they said the numbers can be greater than, but can also be equal to. So whenever you see the equal to, you are compelled to add the number to your list. So it starts from 4, 5, 6, and then it goes on and on and then on. You see? So on the other hand, the less than or equal to, that is this you see over here, also shows us the same thing. So if I have y is less than or equal to 4, then it means the set of numbers that satisfy this can start from 4. You see, so my set is going to start from 4 because I can see or equal to over there. And then I start the remaining. So numbers that are less than 4, that is why I take my 3, my 2, 1, and then it goes on and on and then on. So these are the symbols that we use in inequality. And since this is just an introductory video, let's quickly go straight into how to represent inequalities on a number line. Okay, so when it comes to representing inequalities on a number line, there are just some rules we need to understand and then follow. The first one being that whenever we want to represent inequality on a number line, we look for the value in question. So if they are saying less than 3 or greater than 3 or less than or equal to 3 or greater than or equal to 3, any value you have over there, you go to the number line and look for that particular value and you put a circle on that value. You put a circle on that value. Now, the circle that you put on the value, there are two types. So we have the open circle and then the closed circle. You see, the open circle is used to illustrate what? Less than or greater than. Whilst the closed circle is used for less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. So depending on the inequality symbol you have in question, you would have to choose the type of circle you are going to put on that value. Now, after putting that circle on the value, the rest is up to you. So if it is going to be a less than, then you go to your value, put your circle there, and look at how less than is. This is how the less than is. You see, and then it's like the arrow points towards the side. You see, so if I'm just to draw a line this way, you see where the arrow is going to? Yes. So the same way, you are going to put this over here. You see, so this here will be used to illustrate less than. Now, what if it is greater than? So if it is greater than, as we can see, the symbol of greater than, this is it over here. It points towards the right, you see. And if you just draw a line here, this is how it's going to be. So for greater than, you are then going to write something like this. You would see this one, its implication as we solve some questions. So you can just follow along. On the other hand, if you were to represent the greater than or equal to, then you would go to where the value is and put a shaded or a closed circle there. And in which case, if it is less than, then your arrow is going to be like this. All right. But then if it is greater than, then the arrow is going to point towards this. You see. So let's look at some examples and then we see how we can illustrate them on the number line. Okay. So for our first question here, we have to represent x is greater than 1 on the number line. So the first thing we need to do is to draw our number line. So I'm going to just put down my number line here. You see, now with this number line drawn, we would have to do our label. You see, it is telling us that x is greater than 1. So it simply means our solution or where our answer is going to be more on the right. You see, so I'm just going to put a negative 1 here, then a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Now look at my symbol over here. It is just greater than. And greater than says I should just use a circle. So I'll come to the value, which is 1, and locate it on my number line. So this is where I have my 1. So I put my 1 there, and I'll draw an arrow. You see, showing the side that satisfies my inequality. So x is greater than 1. Now all this side here are definitely greater than 1. 2 is greater than 1. 3 is greater than 1. So that's 4, and then so that's 5. You see, so this is how we represent what? Inequalities on a number line. Let's take another one. Okay, so this one says we have to represent x is less than or equal to negative 2 on the number line. And as we did this, you need your number line. So I'm just going to put my number line here, and then we'll give it a label. This time around, it says x should be less than or equal to -2. It simply means more of my answers are going to be on the left hand side, you see. So in order to create room for that, I'm just going to put my 0 here, -1, -2, -3, the -4, the -5, and then the -6. And where do we put our circle? On the -2. So I come here and then put my circle over here. But is it going to be an open circle or a closed one? It's going to be a closed one. So we just have to shade that out. And then it comes to say that what? It is less than. And then look at where our arrow is pointing, to the left hand side. So we draw our arrow here. And then this here is going to be what? X is less than or equal to -2. You see? So this is our representation of this inequality over here. Let's do one last one, which is a little bit tricky. So here we have our question. It says we have to represent -1 is less than x is less than or equal to 3 on the number line. So what do? We need a number line. Now, if you take a close look at it, it has two inequality symbols. We have the less than over here, and then the less than or equal to. You see, that is a little bit tricky. You can pause the video and then try and see if you can do it on your own. Now let's do it together. So looking at our values, we have what? A -1 and then a 3 as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write, let's say 4 here, 3, 2, 1, 0, and then I have my -1 and -2. You see how I space my numbers so that I would have both the maximum and then the minimum. Sorry, the minimum and then the maximum on my number line, and then I wouldn't be stranded. Now, on the -1, we have what? Less than. And less than goes with what? An open circle. You see that? Then on our 3, we have a less than or equal to. So we are going to put this shaded over there, right? Now, where does our arrow point towards? If you read this inequality carefully, it means that the x value we want, it should be in between -1 and then 3, because these here are the boundaries, right? But another way of reading it is, this is x. So if we have -1 is less than x, right? Then it simply means that all the values of x are greater than -1. Why? Because they said -1 is less than x. You see, so x is greater than -1. And if that is the case, then all the values that are greater than -1 are going to be towards this direction. You see, and it goes on to tell us that, but then x is less than or equal to 3. So all the values here, they are not going to exceed 3. But then all these values here are what is going to satisfy. So we just put a straight line between these two circles, and that is it. So most of the times, if you have this type of inequality, this is just how it is. Locate your extremes, that is the minimum and then the maximum value, and get to know if you would have to shade your circles or not. After doing that, then you just draw your line to touch both circles. That is if it satisfies your inequality over here. So this is how far this video is going to go. I'll leave some exercises so you try on your own to test your understanding. So these are the exercise here. It says you should represent the following on the number line. So you have x is less than 4 all the way to negative 4 is less than y. You can try them and then let me know in the comment section if you have any issue of concern. I do hope this video was helpful in your studies. In our next video, we'll be looking at how to solve linear inequalities. Stay safe and stay blessed. See you in the next video. Bye.